From Veterans Field, it is time for some playoff baseball as the Harwich Mariners will take on the Chatham Anglers. I'm Thomas Enzer alongside Austin Reed for the pregame show of Mariners Minute. Austin, it's been a totally quick season here. I mean, the playoffs are here. I cannot believe it. And the Mariners will match up against their foes in the Eastern Division, the Chatham Anglers. And it's been almost a tale of two seasons for the Mariners. The pitching has been excellent the whole year, but the hitting is what's been the interesting part for this Mariners team.
Yeah, let's start with the pitching. I think it's important to recognize the pitching way back in the beginning of the season with some of the guys who aren't here anymore, whether it be Kyle Branovich, whether it be guys like Tyler Baum, who were outstanding this season, and other guys like Jake Agnos and others who really drove the ship early on in the season and got the Mariners out to a comfortable lead in the playoffs, and they've sort of held that lead all throughout the year. They've been in that 3 spot consistently throughout the season, and that's where they finished. And it was led with the really strong pitching early on. It's almost a completely new crop of pitchers now, but they continue to pitch well, and it's highlighted by tonight's starter, Ricky DeVito, who we'll jump into in a moment, but he's been really good.
Yeah, no, we saw that the Mariners will start along the 1-2-3 range, end up falling down to the 3, and Chatham has been around there the whole time, as well as just Whitey has kind of separated themselves from the rest of the Eastern Division. And we mentioned Ricky DeVito. He'll begin the ball today for the Harwich Mariners. He'll be taking on Austin Bergner. What should we expect from both these guys?
So let's start with Austin Bergner. Bergner has now 5 starts on Cape Cod. He's making his 5th appearance, and he's had a really amazing time on Cape Cod, not only this season, but going back to last season as well. His statistics last season jump off the page immediately, a 1.16 ERA. This year, still very good, 2.38. He's thrived on Cape Cod. Back in college, he's been good, not great. He's had an ERA in total just a little bit under 4 over his 2 years in college. So, again, he's been outstanding on Cape Cod. He's been good back at school, so we'll have to see if he can continue that against Harwich. He has not played against Harwich this season, so we'll have to see if the Mariners' bats can produce against Austin Bergner tonight. As far as Ricky DeVito goes, we talked about DeVito a little bit earlier. DeVito has been the shining star in the Mariners' rotation. He's pitched really well against almost everybody. The only team he struggled against, unfortunately, for the Mariners has been Chatham, and he pitched 3 2/3 innings of work, allowed the 4 runs. We'll have to see if he can rebound from that performance and really go out and throw another gem, and he's thrown a lot of gems this season for the Mariners.
You talk about Ricky DeVito again. That might be his worst start of the season against the Anglers. He's pitched excellent against everybody else, and that's what's warranted his pitcher of the week accolade that he picked up in week 6, and he's a force to be reckoned with here on Cape Cod, even though the ERA could be a little bit lower. I mean, he's definitely been a shining star for this Mariners rotation, and Mariners coming into this game and the postseason as well are 0-6 against the Chatham Anglers. However, manager Tom Holliday saying it's a whole new blank slate. Anything can happen. It's the postseason, and I think that's a great model to go along with. But what do you think the Mariners will have to do to try to defeat the Anglers in this 3-game series?
Well, they definitely have the ability to do so. I was talking to Tanner Morris after the final regular season game, and he told me, look, we've lost 6 games to these guys. It's about time we get a win. He says, they can only beat us so many times. We got to come back. I think it's time for us to get some wins. And I think that's the sentiment that the Harwich Mariners have. Stay confident. The Mariners know they can beat the Anglers. The Anglers have some really big bats. They've got some guys in that meat of the order between Torkelson and Bush and Sable. These guys are very, very high-level players. And then you go down to the even other spots in the order. Greg Jones has a ton of speed. There's so many guys in this order. It's so deep. But with that said, it's not like the Mariners pitching staff can't, get outs against them. They've shown they have in certain in instances. They had to make sure that pitching staff pitches the full game. They can't have one inning when they sort of let up. But I think the Mariners know that as long as they're confident, as long as the bats get going this weekend, they should be fine and be able to get at least a game here to start things off and then work on getting that second win and getting out of the second round.
Yeah, if they have that complete game from the starting pitcher, if the bats are there the whole game as well, they have a very good chance of defeating the Chatham Anglers. So Ricky DeVito will get the ball tonight. He'll try to pitch that, throw at least a decent start against the Chatham Anglers, and Austin Bergner will get the ball for the Chatham Anglers. So that'll do it for us, our pregame show from Mariners. I'm Thomas Enzer alongside Austin. When he first pitches at 7 o'clock, pregame show starts at 6:45, so we'll see you then.